This is my hardcore Minecraft starter base, and as much as I love this thing, I would actually like for it to be much bigger. You see, I've spent the last 5 months building all these different houses and towns and locations for my villagers on my starter island, but it's been a really long time since I made a structure that was specifically for me. And so I think it's time that we remind these villagers who's boss and completely transform my starter base. But in order to do that, we're going to need to start collecting some materials, and the first of which is white wool. Now fortunately, one of my subscribers pointed out to me that you can actually craft wool from string, and I've been playing Minecraft for 10 years, so I don't know how I forgot you could do that, but we have a string farm. So we're basically going to be able to just sit here, collect all the string we'll need for this build, and then make the wool. So now let's just craft up as much of this wool as we can possibly get. And we ended up with just a few shulker boxes full, which is nowhere near as much as I thought we were going to have, but I guess worst case scenario, if we run out, we can always just go back to the string duper, so I'm not too worried about it. Now, the next block that we need to collect is calcite, but we've actually been doing so many calcite mining sessions in the past couple of videos that I don't think we're going to run out, so we can skip this part for now, and we're going to head into the Nether to collect the next couple of blocks, which is a good bit of basalt and some blackstone if we can get our hands on it. And I actually want to fly around a little bit here. I tell you guys all the time, I always get nervous in the Nether still, so I think I'm going to try to head up into the ceiling to collect this basalt instead of trying to mine it down on the ground level where there are a bunch of magma cubes and things that can kill me. But yeah, this seems to be a good spot, but that drop is terrifying. You know, I've said this before, but I think it's still the PTSD from losing the last world that's kicking in, but I need to remember that I have netherite armor and elytra and a totem of them dying now. It's very unlikely that I'm going to get killed, but I still get really nervous. Anyways, let's collect this basalt. Basalt acquired, now we are moving on to the next block on our list. And for this one, we're going to take a stroll down through our farming area, through the fishing village, onto the docks, and into the mining district. Man, I gotta tell you, having all of these places to walk through is really cool. The world is really coming together and I'm very happy with it. But if you haven't guessed already, we are headed underground for our next couple of blocks, and the first one we need is diorite. Alright, so we cleared out that first vein of diorite, but that is nowhere near the amount we're going to need. So I kind of need to look around in these caves here to see if I can find another patch of diorite. Now, diorite shouldn't be too hard to find. I know I'm in the right location for it. Speaking of the devil, we got another vein right here. Oh yes, and this one is turning out to be quite the chonky boy, so I'm happy about that. Oh my gosh, I think this is diorite heaven. Yep. This is the biggest vein of diorite I think I've ever seen. Okay, well, I think we're set. And while we're down here, another block that we're going to need is andesite, so we might as well get as much of this as possible while we can. And for my next trick, I'm going to be collecting some tuff. I'm going to head all the way down to Deep Slate to do this one, and I'm going to set up a beacon in the same place I had my beacon the last time I was down here, because there are some veins of tuff that I just ignored because when I was mining here I didn't need them at the time. So we'll just load up this tasty hasty beacon and get to absolutely grubbing on some tuff. And while I was digging around for more veins of tuff, I actually came across a mob spawner and a dungeon, which is pretty cool. And it even had diamond horse armor in it, and a name tag as well, which those are sometimes hard to come by, so I'm happy about that. But after we cleared the dungeon, it was time to get back to mining some tuff. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the best part about this whole experience is that there was a ton of diamond ore everywhere. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys remember, but a couple of episodes ago, I also ended up finding a bunch of diamonds around tuff veins when I was mining it the last time. So I think from now on, the way I'm going to find diamonds is literally just by tracking down the nearest tuff blocks and then searching for it around there, because the rates we get out of these tuff veins, as far as like the ratio of diamonds they hold goes, is absolutely insane. I mean, we just got 57 diamonds out of that. Of course, we have Fortune 3 on our pickaxe, so that's something to consider, but still, we got 26 blocks of diamonds in about half an hour. That's kind of crazy. But now that we're done down here, we can just take down the beacon and grab the rest of our iron blocks and head back up to the surface. And if we want to continue here today, I'm just going to quickly head over to the creeper farm to get some experience and repair my tools. But now comes one of the more annoying parts of this project. We're building a castle, and the castle is going to be pretty detailed, so I need to make a bunch of the different variation blocks of the items we collected. So for example, we're going to start with some tough walls, some tough slabs, and some tough stairs. And we're going to do the same thing for basically every item that we got. Our inventory is going to get really chaotic, and I'm going to have to be refilling and going back to my chests pretty frequently, which is going to be incredibly annoying, but there's nothing I can really do about this at this point. I mean, there are just so many different items that we need for this build that there's no way around it, unfortunately. But taking a break from crafting items, I'm going to head back up to the mountains here, and I'm going to throw down another beacon. And we're going to be using that beacon to collect some cobblestone. And honestly, I don't know why I don't just make a cobblestone generator. I mean, people have told me that I don't really need it, considering the fact that I have access to a netherite efficiency 5 pickaxe and a haste beacon. In fact, mining by hand is arguably faster than using a cobblestone generator, but we're at the point now where I shouldn't have to be manually putting in the work for cobblestone, you know what I mean? But regardless, let's just get this over with. All right, cobblestone collected. Let's tear down the beacon and get back to progressing through this build. Now, the next thing we need is a bunch more of the mossy cobblestone we made in the last episode. So we're just going to craft that up real quick because I have a bunch of moss left over from AFKing at the bone meal farm. And with that, I think we're pretty much good to go. So I'm going to start organizing my inventory here, just making different columns of items. I already know that by the time this video is over, the inventory is going to look nothing like what it does right now, but I'm going to try my best to stay as organized as possible. And so we're going to start with one half of like a gatehouse in the front of the castle. This is going to be a part of the outer wall. I plan to do this build in 3 different sections: an outer wall, an inner wall, and then the main castle itself. So we're starting on the outermost portion of it right now, and I'm going to be using all the blocks we collected to create a base of a calcite and diorite castle, and then using our darker blocks to come in and show some weathering and to make it look like some damage has happened to the castle over time. And there we go. I think, especially with the sunset, I think this looks pretty good. It definitely needs some work, but this is a really good start to the build. But now that we have the first side of the little gatehouse worked out, it's time to work on the right side. So we're going to begin by just building up a second tower here, and then connecting the two in the middle with a little arch. Then we're going to move back over to the left here and continue building up the wall. And every couple of blocks or so, we're going to be including these new castle battlements, just to make the castle look more intimidating and to help show off how well fortified the castle actually was during its heyday. Now, as we go along and build this castle here, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the lore. Now, you guys already know from the last couple of episodes that the established lore so far is that there was a previous villager civilization that lived on this island that was was wiped out by events that are yet to be determined. However, all of the structures that you see that include calcite and diorite belong to those previous villagers, and the new villagers that have moved in don't really know what to do with these structures. Their stonework isn't as advanced and isn't as good, so they're not able to keep up with the maintenance required to keep these builds looking pristine. So as important as it is to show a bunch of weathering and damage done to this castle, I also want to make sure it's very obvious just how good and strong this previous civilization's stonework was. You know, as you look around the rest of the world, a lot of their structures are gone and destroyed, but this castle has stood the test of time, and despite all the weathering and damage that has been done to it, it's still standing. Now over on the left side of the castle here, I am going to include a segment that is much more destroyed than the rest of the castle, and I'll show you why in just a little bit here. But not only will this add lore to the build a little bit, it'll also just create a better way for us to see the castle from this angle. I'm kind of worried that the walls are going to block the main view of the mega structure while we're walking down by our farms, so I want to open up a little bit of space to give us another line of sight directly to the main castle. But with that done and out of the way, we're just going to continue the wall along the side of the cliffs here, just really making sure it looks like the castle was designed to ensure that nobody other than the king and the king's people could access the castle. And now we're going to head back over to the side that's by the entertainment district to do the exact same thing. Just extend the walls to the cliffside edge to make sure nobody can get in. But with that, the outer wall of the castle is done, and we can move on to the interior wall. And this wall is going to basically have the same design. We're going to have a couple of battlements every now and again, and we'll probably end up putting a gatehouse in here as well. Now over on the left here, one of these towers, I've been calling them battlements, but I guess they're just towers. I don't know what the proper name for them is, but we're going to have one of these that's actually broken down where the top is missing. And later in this video, we're going to be building the top of that fallen part of the castle somewhere else down the hill. Now, if you haven't guessed it already, I want to make it look like whenever this catastrophic event happened, the top of this particular tower was basically just completely severed. It rolled down the hill, broke through the wall, and then landed on the ground somewhere along the beach on our island. I think it's a really cool way to just add some action and some moving elements to the world, and I can't wait for you guys to see the finished product because it ends up turning out really cool. But for now, we're just going to move back over to the right and finish getting up some more of these walls, and we're also going to build one half of the secondary gate entrance. And then of course, naturally, we're going to build the other half of this gatehouse, and then we're going to connect the two in the middle. And just like we did on the outer castle wall, we're going to come in on the inner castle wall and extend it all the way to the cliffside to make sure nobody can pass through. And I actually think I'm going to extend this portion of the wall all the way back here so that it kind of wraps around the castle as well. I think that would be pretty cool. But that is the inner castle wall complete. So with both the outer and inner castle walls done, it's now time to move on to the primary part of the starter base. And we're going to begin by a smaller section off to the right. I want this to kind of look like a cathedral looking chapel or a church of some kind. I want the king and the castle goers to have access to some place place to pray. I don't know what kind of religions are going to be in this world yet. I haven't really developed that part of the story as much at this point, but I think something along the lines of, these villagers worshiping the magical properties that came from the amethyst crystals would be pretty cool, and I think it would make a lot of sense. And now we're going to make it so that there is actually no outside entrance. I want to give the impression that the nobles of this world are kind of gatekeeping their religion, and maybe they believe that the rest of their civilization, because they're not nobles, they just aren't as worthy of the religion as they are. So the rest of the people don't really get direct contact with the quote-unquote gods of this world. Let me tell you, the time lapses do not do this thing justice. I mean, these builds are looking pretty big from the ground level when we're looking at them, and I think they're turning out pretty sharp. And do you know what else is sharp? Your brand new Minecraft Razer Black Widow V4X mechanical gaming keyboard. Today, I'm partnering up with Razer to give away their entire line of their new Minecraft collection and their Razer Kaio streaming webcam to anybody who lives in the US. The Black Widow keyboard comes along with double-shot ABS keycaps, cable routing options for easy cable management, 6 dedicated macro keys, and a multifunction roller and secondary media keys for convenient control. And of course, it comes with full RGB. It also comes equipped with those classic Razer green mechanical switches for precise execution with a clicky tactical feel. And I gotta say, there's not really much else to say about this keyboard. Razer has always made great products, and this is just another example of that. It came nicely packaged in great condition. It's a really hardy and sturdy feeling keyboard, and after using it for a couple hours, I can personally say that it does feel great. Next thing you'll get in this giveaway is the Razer Cobra customizable gaming mouse. Of course, this one also comes with RGB, and it also comes with a SpeedFlex cable for smooth, unobstructed mouse movement, precise sensor adjustments with 8500 DPI optical sensor, a 58-gram lightweight design, 100% PTFE mouse feet, and of course that previously mentioned chroma lighting with gradient underglow. And out of everything Razer sent me in this package, this is honestly the one that took me by surprise the most. I've used a Razer mouse before in the past, and I gotta be honest, I wasn't very impressed, but this one actually feels really good in your hand, and I currently use a Glorious Model O as my primary mouse, and it feels almost as light as that one does. You barely can tell you're even holding it, and having a light mouse for gaming is just an absolutely essential thing, so they actually really knocked it out of the park with this one. Sounds good, feels good, and of course you get the 2 additional buttons on the side to bind to whatever you need, and of course it's a Minecraft themed mouse, so that's pretty cool too. And continuing the trend of smooth experiences, the Razer Gigantus V2 soft gaming mouse mat is one of the best mouse pads that I've personally ever used. Before I bought the mouse pad that I have now, I actually did use a Razer mouse pad for the better part of 4 years, and it never let me down. And this mouse pad holds up the same quality. It sticks to your table really well, so you're not going to have to worry about any unwanted movement, and the mouse pad in combination with that super smooth mouse gives you just the perfect smooth gliding experience for when you're gaming. Now all this stuff for gaming is great, but it's not worth anything if you can't hear. So Razer will also be sending you a Razer Kraken V4X wired gaming headset, which of course comes with that Razer Chroma RGB, hybrid fabric and memory foam cushions, Razer Triforce 40mm drivers for powerful lifelike audio, 7.1 surround sound for realistic positional sound, a convertible Type-C and Type-A cable for multi-platform versatility, and a retractable Razer Hyperclear cardioid mic. And in the spirit of full disclosure, I did try these on, and oh my god, are they comfortable. They fit over your ears perfectly, and let me tell you, the noise cancellation really does work. The headphones also come with a mute button and an audio scroll wheel directly on one of the earmuffs, so that's incredibly helpful and convenient as well. And to complete your setup here, you're also going to receive the Razer Kaio X Full HD streaming webcam. This webcam comes equipped with 1080p 30fps or 720p at 60fps for full HD or ultra smooth streaming. It has flexible mounting options to fit any setup, it's compact and portable, and it's just a really classic plug and play webcam. It also also comes equipped with fully customizable video settings to create your perfect stream tailored to your individual needs. And my favorite feature of this webcam is it's equipped with autofocus to always stay sharp and make sure that your face is in frame. And I mean, if you're getting into content creation, this webcam, even though it's entry level, will help you to far outpace the competition. You really won't need anything better than this. And just in case you were wondering, here's an example of what the Razer Kaio looks like running at full HD. Now that I'm looking at it and moving around, this is better than my own webcam. What the hell? Is this the first time you guys are seeing my face in a video? Is this a face reveal? I think this might be a face reveal. But if you live in the United States and you want to enter this giveaway, all you have to do is click the link in the top of the description, enter your first and last name and an email address, and then wait to find out if you've won. But that's literally it. You don't have to subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on any other forms of social media. And of course, this giveaway is entirely free of charge. But once again, thank you to Razer for sponsoring this video. Make sure you head to their website to check out their brand new Minecraft collection, and thank you to all of my subscribers who have put me in a position where I can receive sponsorships like this. The giveaway is live starting today and will continue to be live until March 31st, 2025. But once again, thank you to everybody who's involved with this, and let's get back to the video. But advertisements aside, there is one more block that I forgot to get, and that's actually birch wood. Now, we should have like a ton of birch wood just sitting on our chest from when we cleared out the forest for the entertainment district, so fortunately we are not going to have to go out and chop down some trees. But I just need to craft up some birch trapdoors and fences because we're going to be using these as accent blocks to give us some more detail in the castle. I'm going to be using the trapdoors to create some trim on the gate entrances, and I'm also going to use some dark oak fences real quick too to create the actual gates themselves. And there we go. I think that actually turned out very nicely. But now I've been building this castle for a couple of hours at this point. It's taken me a whole day to get where I'm at right now. So I want to take a quick break from working on the main structure itself, and I'm going to whip up Lightmatica and use that to help us place in the broken and fallen portion of the top of one of the towers that I was talking about earlier, down here on the beach. Now, for the moment, I am not going to texture this thing because I think in a future episode I would actually like to have a whole custom forest down here. So once we start building that, I'll come back in and I'll add like a bunch of moss and dirt and grass growing all over this thing. So for right now, we're just going to use our regular calcite, white wool, and diorite to detail this thing, and then we'll go from there. But there we go. Okay, this thing is done, and I have to say, I know it looks kind of out of place right now, but trust me, when again we put in all the details and everything, this is going to look really cool. And I think this is adding a lot of story to the world. I'm very happy with it, especially when we fly up here to the broken segment of the castle, looking down, seeing the hole in the wall, and then just the top of the castle laying there. It makes a lot more sense. But anyways, I think now it is time to get back to building the main structure. And so to begin here, we're going to start with one of the main towers of the castle, and this one extends all the way down to the water. So we have quite a bit of building to do all the way up past the height of the rocks and then continuing even further upwards. And so with that little section now at ground level, we're going to begin building up the rest of the castle with it. And while we begin building up the bottom of the castle here, I'd like to mention that if you want to check this place out for yourself, you can do so by downloading it over on my Patreon page. For just $3 a month, you get access to things like member shoutouts, behind the scenes screenshots, Discord roles, and early access to ad-free versions of all my hardcore videos. And for $10 a month, you get all the previously mentioned things, as well as access to the build schematics for everything that I've ever made in hardcore Minecraft and to all my world downloads. I'd also like to take this moment to thank all of my current Patreon members and channel members. I've said it before, then I've said it 100 times. You guys really do keep this channel afloat during the months when maybe my channel isn't performing as well or I haven't been uploading as much. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for everything you do for me, because you really are keeping the channel running. starter castle is done, and I am very excited to show you. We're inside of our little farmer house here. We built this in a live stream. Shout out to the live streams. But just imagine you're a farmer, you know, coming downstairs, walking into your kitchen, getting everything ready for the morning, putting on your clothes, getting your tools ready for a hard day work. You walk outside, you know, maybe you tend to some crops. You check on your beets. Perhaps you want to, you know, check on your donkey and your horse. You want to tend to the cows for a little bit. And then you walk down towards your farm and you are met with this view. Oh my God. I actually might cry. I think this is the best thing I have ever built in this game. This just looks so insane. Now I just want to take a moment to, you know, check out all the different places that we can view this castle from in this world. I'm really hoping it looks good from everywhere. So we're gonna head out past the fishing district here. We're just gonna hop in our boat and go across this river here. Let's turn our render distance up as high as it can go. Can we even see it from over here? Oh my God, yes we can. Look at that. Okay. Just imagine coming home from a long journey in hardcore Minecraft. That view of seeing the castle off in the distance is insane. Let's park our little boat, you know, go walk through the fishing district here. You know, maybe we want to do some trading with some villagers along the way. All these stalls will eventually be filled, but you know, for now they're empty. But we're just going to take a little walk up here through the trees, past all of our houses, and we're going to go through the gatehouse here and oh, dude. Oh, I love the way that feels. It's just like you're absolutely consumed by these vast open views of the wheat fields, and then just having that ginormous castle in the background. I am so incredibly happy with how this turned out. And dude, this thing looks just as beautiful from the front as well. I can't believe it. I absolutely love the effect you get from coming those close, tight quarters in the fishing village to just being thrown into these open, sprawling landscapes and having that massive castle just towering over you. It's so cool. But anyways, enough gawking at my own achievements. We are not even anywhere near done with this thing yet. The outside shell isn't even complete. So we're going to start by coming down to the water level here and extending the bits of the castle that I didn't build down to the ground to make everything actually make sense and connect to the bottom of the world. And with that complete and the castle finally connected to the ground, we're going to continue with the build by finishing the bridge. Now, I've talked about this bridge in the past, and so I'd like to tell you a little bit more of the story of this bridge. And so basically, you guys know that the first portion of our starter base is a wizard tower, and magic and magical elements do play a heavy role in this world. So the role of the Grand Wizard or the Master Wizard, I can't believe I actually just accidentally said that. The Master Wizard, guys, you heard it here. Good God. But anyways, the role of the Grand Wizard is a very big deal. And so in that wizard tower, there are only ever 2 wizards living there at the same time. The Grand Wizard, and then the one who's training the wizard who will replace him. And so the lore goes that this bridge, after it was broken by the calamity that happened years ago, it ended up obtaining some kind of magical properties. And so a lot of people spend their entire lives training to be the next Grand Wizard. But the final test of becoming the one worthy of that title is crossing this bridge, which is why it leads directly out of what is going to be the throne room of the castle right over to our starter island. Now, like I said, these wizards in training could spend their entire lives prepping and doing everything correctly and everything they need to do in order to pass the test. But if the bridge rejects them, then they fall, never to return again. And I have some ideas for a way to actually show this happening in some future builds, but I'll save that for another time. But there we go. The bridge is basically done. Now, I actually need to head back into the entertainment district here to grab some fireworks out of our firework farm. This is so nice having this done automatically for us. This build was definitely worth the investment. Oh my God. And I just realized you can see the castle from the entertainment district too. That's so cool. But what's not really cool and is actually kind of terrifying is what I'm going to attempt to do next. And before I do it, I'm just going to put all of our shulker boxes down and try to get our inventory as clean as possible. And so now what's happening is that I have discovered I don't really like the look of the birch wood on the castle. I really want this castle to feel like it was entirely sculpted out of marble, and the only way to do that is by getting pale wood. And if you guys don't know, I play this world in the base version of 1.21. So that means it's time for a world update to 1.21.4, which means dotting our I's and crossing our T's, making a backup of the world to make sure it doesn't get corrupted like my very first hardcore world did, and attempting to update all of my mods. So I don't know how this is going to go. This may potentially ruin the entire video, but I guess if you're seeing this video, you already know it went well, but wish me luck. Okay, so here we go. We are loading up the hardcore world for the first time in 1.21.4, and I think we're good to go. A few of my mods aren't working right now, so I am going to come out with an updated mods video soon. We don't have our flaming sword right now, which is kind of disappointing. I have to reconfigure the texture pack, but at least we got the NC Wiggle. Now we're just going to head out east of our starter island and try to find a pale garden. Oh, wait, I think this is one right here. We're not even 1,000 blocks away from our base. This is pretty good. I haven't really explored very far out in this direction though, so I guess it kind of makes sense that there's one nearby. This place looks really weird with complementary shaders. What was that sound? I'm hearing things. I don't know how. I didn't do my research before coming in here. I don't know how strong the creaking is, so I gotta be careful here. I tell you what, we're just gonna collect wood as fast as we can and then head home, because I am not trying to lose this world because I'm too stupid and naive to know any better. Okay, night is starting to fall, and these flowers look so cool. I'm definitely taking some of these. Oh my god, he was right in front of me. There he is. That's him. That's the man, officer. I actually really like the glowing eyes. That looks pretty cool. But I am going to just slowly back away here. Oh no, this zombie's about to ruin my day. I know that if they're like a weeping angel type of situation. Let me just try to keep him in frame. He doesn't seem to move when I have my inventory open, so let's just put the shulker box down. Throw the elytra on. Hello, please don't eat me. Get one last good look at him. Maybe take a picture. And then get the hell out of here. Yeah. Nope. I didn't do enough research to know. I feel like maybe I might be a little overpowered. He doesn't really pose a threat to me at this point, because I know multiple of them can spawn at the same time, but I'm not risking it. So now we're just going to head home and craft up some of these new pale wood blocks. Oh yeah, those definitely, that's the color we need. They're a little bit more pink than I would have liked. They have a bit of a pink hue to them, which is kind of annoying, but I think at a distance, we're not really going to be able to notice anyway, so I don't think it matters. But now I'm just going to go along here to each portion of the build that has birch on it and replace it with the pale wood. Okay, so with that done, I think that the pale wood looks really good as a replacement for the birch, so we're going to come up to the top of the build here and continue to add some more pale wood accents and try to make the top of the build a bit spikier and a bit more gothic looking than it did before. And there we go, that looks a lot better. I also added some more trapdoors in some places to help make the curves of the build look better and to add some more details to the walls. But now we're just going to come down to this front little entrance section here and do the same thing we did on the roof, and then for the third time repeat the same process for the little church we have off to the side. But now with all that done, I want to come up to this top room here that we have. This is going to be like a council chambers or something where the king discusses like all of his plans with some of his top people or something like that. But I'm going to take all of this pale wood that we have and I'm going to try to create a little bit of a window here, or at least give the illusion of a window. We're not actually going to have any glass because I think it would look better without it, but it'll get the idea across. Now I want to come down to the entrance of the build and start opening up the doorway a little bit here. And we're also going to be putting in all the floors and then building the actual door itself. And while I build this section of the base, I thought it would be fun if now we did the comment of the day section of the video. And today's comment comes from Etheziel. Of course, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. But Etheziel goes on to say that he has an idea for underneath of the starter base. He thinks that we should make some kind of underground open vault that is very white and bright, just like the starter castle, and has a lot of gold and shiny stuff in it. And he continues to explain that the vault has gotten so big that it needs gigantic pillars in order to keep the ceiling from falling down. He also said that we could build a dragon that protects the treasure, and I could have a bunch of creeper heads lying around, symbolizing how the story to distance the creepers began. Like perhaps the reason why the creepers were banished was because they tried to break into the vault or something like that. Now, I absolutely think this is an insanely cool sounding idea, and I love the concept of just a giant open underground cave with a bunch of gold scattered all over the place. It would actually make for a really cool storage room. So I definitely think I'm going to take them up on their idea here and try to incorporate something similar. So Etheziel, thank you for helping me with my ideas for my next couple of videos. And if the rest of you in the comments do want to help me make some things, I would love to hear from you. I love taking inspiration from you guys and incorporating your ideas into my builds, and I'd really like to do that more. I do enjoy helping you guys get to see your ideas come to life as well. But let's get back to the video. But alright, we got all the floors in and the big door on the entrance done. Now I want to come in and create the throne. I want it to be pretty small, and I want it to kind of be framed by the back entrance, or I guess the back exit that leads to the wizard tower. So we're just going to build it right in the center here. And I do want to take a little bit of inspiration from the Game of Thrones iron chair here. I want it to make it look a bit pointy. We're going to see if we can't figure out how to do that. We are also not working with a ton of space in this room, so I need it to be as small but as detailed as possible. There we go. I think this is pretty sick. It's exactly what I was looking for. Small but detailed, and it definitely gets the point across. I think we look pretty cool sitting in this thing. Now we're just going to come over to each of the sides here, and we're going to build up some pillars to make some arches. And I'm also going to fill in a second layer above these pillars so that we have kind of a second story to walk on. And we'll just quickly make the arches. And now I gotta say, this is looking pretty sick. I love the way it looks, especially with the moon setting directly behind it. Dude, really cool. So now I'm just going to continue down to the left side of the base here, and I'm going to fill in the floor in the church area too, kind of just get the base of the entire castle done, or rather the entire castle interior done. And I'm only going to be using calcite for this because I want the floors and as much of the walls to be as shiny as possible. Now, I originally wanted the castle to look very worn down from the outside, which I think we accomplished, but on the inside, I wanted it to look pristine and pretty well taken care of. You know, the inside isn't as exposed to the elements as the outside is, so it would make sense that it's a little cleaner and still more intact, but I don't actually have room to build up 2 layers of each of the walls. It would just take up too much space, so I'm just going to be covering as much of the interior as I can in calcite to help us get that really shiny marble looking texture that I want. I'm also going to come into the throne room here and try to throw up some spiral staircases leading up to the top balconies. And then we're just going to fill in the floor on the other side as well. Now, back up here in the balconies, I actually want to create a couple of I guess what would be seating areas. I'm going to try to add a little bit more lore here and say that these balconies are for a choir that has basically been hired to sing 24/7. And you know, they have a bunch of staff, so they'll rotate on and off to give each other breaks from using their voices. And so this basically makes it so that there's always ambient music in the king's chamber so that it sounds more intimidating and dramatic whenever people walk in or come here to be judged or sentenced. Okay, I'm getting a little distracted here, but something that's really bothering me I've been seeing while I'm building the castle is that The castle doesn't really match the Wizard Tower starter base anymore. You know, it's a lot more detailed, and I think my building has definitely improved since I built this starter base, so although I can't completely retexture the starter tower today, I am going to replace all of the bamboo trapdoors and fences that we have over there with the pale wood variants. That way the color at least will match. You know, originally what I was trying to do was show that these buildings were kind of capped or trimmed in gold, but after discussing it a lot with my live stream members, we all kind of unanimously decided that it would be better if we got rid of the gold, or I guess rather yellow looking parts of the build, and just made it completely white and marble. So that's what we're going to be doing here. Oh yeah, that definitely improved the look of this thing a lot. And again, even though it's not as detailed as the actual castle, it's looking a lot better. Dude, if you're standing on the bridge when the sun sets, I love the way the shadow of the Wizard Tower like rises up and like perfectly lines up with the actual throne and the throne room. It just looks... That's so cool looking. Wow, I didn't even mean for that to happen. But now we're going to come up to the top room again, to kind of like the council chambers here. And I'm going to start by building out kind of a table in the middle for them to gather around. I'm going to be putting down some little chairs as well. I'm going to try to design these so that the king's chair is a little bit bigger. It's going to be completely made out of marble, and he's going to have little hand rests. And then the rest of the chairs will just be made out of spruce. I'm also going to want to build up some more pillars on the side here. I will be very impressed with myself if I manage to pack any more detail. This is a very small room. It's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. But this is actually turning out okay. I mean, it still feels like we have space in here. But something I need now is actually a bunch of different colored buttons. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because, again, I am actually taking inspiration from House of the Dragon here. And in the show, when any of the council members show up, they have these little, like, marble spheres that they bring to the table. And to kind of symbolize that they're there to show that they're present and paying attention in the meeting, they bring that marble with them, and when they show up, they place it in this little holder on the table. And I thought it was just a really cool little detail to add. Again, to add a little bit more story to the build and just to look kind of cool. So I'm going to be using a couple of different types of buttons to hopefully get that idea across. Yeah, there we go. I think that looks... Okay, if you don't know what it is, it looks a little weird, but I like it, so I'm going to keep it. Now I just need to work on building up a spiral staircase that goes all the way from the bottom of the castle to the top. And that is not going to be very fun. So there we go. The staircase is built. And I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with how this room is coming along. Now I'm just going to use some polished diorite stairs here to kind of help shape the roof more into a point to make it look a little bit smoother. But now I'm just going to fire up a couple of live streams and detail a few more rooms in the castle. And with that, our starter / mega castle is complete. Now, some of the rooms aren't done yet, but I did do a lot on stream as well. Primarily, we got done with this little kitchen area over to the left here, which has a little seating table for our castle workers and some kind of large furnace with some decorations. And I even added this little breezeway here so that the smoke and everything can actually get out of the kitchen, and for the castle workers to have an outdoor seating area to eventually sit and eat at. I also went over and completed the church section of this build, and I'm very happy with how this turned out, especially with how the big organ turned out that we have sitting up in these rafters above the church. I really love the way that looks. I think it turned out pretty cool. I'm also very happy with the throne room. It's not as detailed as I would like, but it definitely gets the point across, and it'll do for now. And I, again, just cannot express how much I absolutely love the look of the exterior of this build. This is just exactly what I had envisioned in my head, and I plan to do a lot more to this base, but this is a really, really solid start. And it just adds so much atmosphere to the rest of the island. Today's video was definitely a success in my book. So thank you all so much for watching, and I really hope you have enjoyed. If you didn't already, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. We've been growing at a very fast pace recently, and I'm so grateful for everything you guys have done for me. So thank you for that. But once again, I hope you guys have enjoyed. This build is available on my Patreon, again, if you're interested. But other than that, I got to get going because I've got more work to do.